Hey, what's going on? JayzTwoCents here, and we're back with another tech video just like I promised in the last bike video thing that we just did.
And Jay always pays his debts.
Sorry, I've been watching a lot of Game of Thrones lately. It's really getting addictive. I just started watching it. May God have mercy on my soul, because I think it belongs to HBO now. The new EVGA Silent Series power supplies offer excellent silence and efficiency through their new EVGA Eco Mode technology, and also features a 7-year warranty for worry-free gaming. Click the link in the description to learn more. So a few weeks back, I was lucky enough to take a look at LG's new 34UM67 V-Sync, FreeSync, kitchen sink, whatever sync monitor, and I was a little bit underwhelmed. I mean, FreeSync is kind of cool and all, but personally, just my personal opinion, I don't really care about all the new V-Sync, G-Sync, FreeSync technology going into everything. I personally just don't really care all that much. Personally, for me, not all that pleasing to look at, especially since I look at a 1440p panel as my main panel every single day. So going back to something with 1080p, pixel density was just not pleasing on the eyes. So when LG saw that video, they reached out to me and said, hey, how would you like to take a look at our 34UC97 21:9 ultra wide curved panel? And I was like, well, heck yeah, sign me up, because if you're not aware, this panel behind me is a 3440 by 1440p. So basically it's 1440p pixel density in a 34-inch ultra-wide curved panel. Now I saw this thing at CES. I didn't spend a whole lot of attention to it because really I didn't think it's something I would be taking a look at so soon. But of course, when LG reached out to me, I owed it to, of course, the audience and myself to get up close, personal, and a little bit intimate with this monitor. Now, it is an IPS panel, so as a content creator, that's something that really interested me, because none of the panels that I have in this office are IPS, so I'm always kind of guessing as to the color correction, and quite often I guess incorrectly. So either I look yellow or green or orange or blue or purple or something, because I just don't have anything that's color accurate. And this thing has an sRGB rating of over 99%. So that means that the color accuracy on this thing, especially when calibrated, is going to be damn near lifelike. Now the stand on this thing is actually very elegant. In fact, it is all metal. It is nickel plated, very shiny, very, very well built. It doesn't slide around the desk because it has rubber feet. Unfortunately, it lacks any sort of height adjustment whatsoever. So you are stuck on the height, and as you can see, it almost didn't fit underneath my little GPU shelf right there. So you're gonna have to keep that in mind if you're searching for or interested in buying this monitor. There is no height adjustment. There is only tilt adjustment, and even then, it doesn't tilt down really much past vertical. It tilts mostly up. So you're definitely going to want to keep that in mind. Now when it comes to VESA mount, the first thing I did was I looked on the back of the panel to see if it has VESA mount, because I like to VESA mount all of my panels, and I was a little disappointed to see that it did not have VESA mount built in. However, they did actually include somewhere, I'll find it, give me a second. They did actually include this plate right here, which simply mounts onto the same little swiveling bracket that's on the back of the panel, and then you have 4 screws here that would mount to a VESA mount. So this is going to retain all of its up and down adjustment built onto the monitor, as well as being able to screw into a VESA mount. Now it's not nearly as elegant as the panel or the back kind of a gold color looks itself, but then again, most of the time you don't really look at the back of the panel anyway. Speaking of the back of the panel, it is once again all metal, so the monitor itself is very hefty. It even has a nice plastic cover to cover all of the I/O that's on the back of the monitor. And speaking of I/O, I was actually kind of surprised to see that there is no DVI support. In fact, there is DisplayPort, 2 HDMI ports, 2 USB 3.0, and 2 Thunderbolt 2 ports on the back. So, and actually it has an audio jack as well. The audio built into the monitor is lackluster. It's not even really worth mentioning. I couldn't even demo it for you and give you an accurate representation of what it sounds like. So, as with most built-in monitor speakers, they produce sound, but probably not the sound you're looking for. The cool thing about the HDMI ports on this panel is the fact that you could actually split this panel in two and have 2 perfectly square 1x1 panels, with each HDMI treating each half of the screen as 2 separate monitors. Not entirely sure why you would want to do that, but I guess technically you can. Maybe if you want to have two different systems hooked up to it at the same time. I don't know, but that flexibility is there. Now, the Thunderbolt 2 is going to be more appealing towards content creators that are working on a Mac platform, because most PC enthusiasts or PC content creators are not really utilizing Thunderbolt. That's really become more of a Mac thing. But it has Thunderbolt on this, so you could use it as an auxiliary display for your Mac Pros or your MacBooks or whatever else you're using that's Mac, Apple, Mac, Apple. Now, when it comes to gaming, because that's what most of the people watching my channel are going to care about, the 34UC97 is a 5 millisecond panel, which is not as fast as a lot of gaming panels, which advertise as low as 1 millisecond gray to gray. However, 5 milliseconds to me is kind of still very, very acceptable. In fact, anything under 14 milliseconds is typically considered lagless when it comes to input. In fact, there is no perceived input lag whatsoever. When I move the mouse around, it feels very, very responsive. Even though it's a 60 hertz panel and I am used to 144 hertz panels, it doesn't feel like there's any sort of input lag on there. Now, games, I'm happy to say, are really starting to utilize this 21:9 format where you're not getting the black bars on the side. Interestingly enough, though, in games like GTA 5, the black bars are there in a lot of the cutscenes, even though the game is rendered out and the cutscene is basically being rendered in the game engine and game environment itself. You can actually see the parts that are blacked out as the bars kind of stretch out to fill it. So I kind of find it interesting that the engine is putting black bars there when something's being rendered there anyway. So it's a little bit annoying, and I guess it adds a little bit of cinematic effect where you used to get black bars on the top and bottom. Now we're just getting them on the side, but whatever. I digress. Gameplay on the sides of the 21:9 don't feel stretched out, and that could help or have a little bit to do with the fact that the subtle curve on the display is giving you very nice viewing angles. In fact, it's keeping your view between right side and left side of the monitor fairly uniform, where the distance from your eyes to that part of the panel is not going to really be affected. When we sit close to monitors on our desks, you can have quite a bit of distance change between the center of the panel and the edges of the panel, because as you turn your head, that distance gets farther away. So the idea of the curved panel is to eliminate a lot of that distance change when it comes to looking at the screen. And since we sit so close to the panel, we don't really need that much of a curve. Otherwise, it would start to look a little bit distorted. Now, I find myself becoming more and more of a fan of the 21:9 format. When it first came out, I kind of wondered if it was going to be more of a gimmick. Is it something people were going to adopt? And you do find a lot more people, especially gamers, are starting to adopt this because it's a good alternative to Eyefinity and Surround. The most annoying thing with dealing with multiple monitor setups is, of course, the bezels. But the panel like this actually allows you to deal with a wider viewing angle, a wider screen real estate without having to deal with bezels or even the driver finickiness that is found in NVIDIA Surround and AMD's Eyefinity. Maybe even in the future, we'll find even wider panels where they're getting, maybe the width of two 16:9 panels. You never know. I mean, when this first came out, I thought it was a little bit gimmicky, but it really does seem like 21:9 is here to stay, and a lot of people are adopting it. In fact, it probably isn't going to be long before we start seeing 4K variants of 21:9. But then, of course, graphics cards are going to be getting hit really hard. In fact, this 3440 by 1440 really does push my 980 classified to the limits when it comes to gaming. So the pixel density's there, and the color accuracy, of course, is what really makes this panel really worth its weight in gold, almost literally, considering the rear of the thing looks like gold. It's kind of, in terms of color, it kind of looks a lot like the gold iPhone from Apple. It's really kind of almost a pewtery gold color. So the panel itself is built very, very sturdy. I would like to see height adjustment on the thing, but the pixel density is fantastic. The uniformity of the color, and even in light bleed in the corners, are really not too bad. There's some, but not a lot. Color shift isn't there, of course, because it's IPS, and it's combated a little bit by the fact that we have a curved panel. And gaming on this thing, even though it's a 60 hertz panel, and I'm personally and subjectively leaning more towards 144 hertz panels being my sort of thing, could game on this and have absolutely no problems doing so. So if you guys are looking for a panel that's got good refresh rate, of course, excellent, excellent colors, and is going to give you a long-term solution for productivity, gaming, color accuracy, and just looks fantastic, then you really shouldn't look any farther than the LG 34UC97. I don't think this is where it's going to stop though. I think they're going to start finding more and more ways, maybe in refresh rates and response times, to get better performance and lower response time under 5 milliseconds and higher than 60 FPS when it comes to refresh rate of the monitor itself. At least that's what I would like to see. So what do you guys think about this? What do you guys think about the curved display? I know curved phones, curved TVs, and curved displays have really kind of been a thing lately, and I don't know, the curved is nice, but I don't think that's really a deal breaker for me personally. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments, or better yet, head on over to Twitter at JayzTwoCents or the forums over at JayzTwoCents.com and tell me what you guys think. As always, these videos are not possible without you guys, so I just want to once again extend a huge thank you to watching this channel, watching these videos, and we'll see you guys in the next one.